For centuries after the Talmud was compiled, the ultimate authority on Jewish law didn't rest with a single king or local court. It lived in the academies of Babylon, where scholars known as the Gaonim maintained an unbroken, highly rational legal tradition. But by the 10th and 11th centuries, the geopolitical landscape of the East was fracturing. Constant wars between emerging empires made it nearly impossible for global Jewish communities to safely travel to these ancient Babylonian academies. The physical infrastructure that held the law together was failing. If the objective legal tradition was going to survive this chaos, it had to migrate to a more stable geography. Shmuel HaNagid's rapid rise to power in the West functioned as a direct extension of the traditional authorities in the East. Shmuel was a meticulous student of the law. He studied directly under the great Rav Nassim Gaon and corresponded extensively with Rav Hai Gaon, one of the final prominent leaders of the Babylonian academies. When the center of Jewish law eventually shifted to Andalusia, it was built upon the rigorous, objective framework those Eastern scholars had perfected. Shmuel began his life in Córdoba, a thriving hub of culture and learning in Spain. But severe political violence and Muslim invasions soon shattered the city, forcing its residents to scatter. He became a stateless refugee, fleeing south to the coastal port of Malaga to escape the warring factions. To survive, he set up a humble shop near the courtyard of the local royal vizier, scraping together a living by selling spices. He lost his home and his physical wealth, but he retained his mastery of complex Jewish law, advanced abstract mathematics, and elegant Arabic literature. The objective knowledge he carried survived the displacement entirely intact. He used that knowledge to write letters for a maidservant who worked in the vizier's courtyard. The vizier noticed these documents and was immediately struck by the flawless Arabic calligraphy and the sharp intellect behind the words. The vizier quickly pulled Shmuel out of the spice shop and into the Granadan royal court, secretly relying on his political strategy and counsel to manage the affairs of the state. When the vizier eventually fell terminally ill, King Habas visited his bedside, anxious about how he would navigate incoming wars without his top advisor. The vizier confessed that his most successful strategies had actually come from the Jewish spice merchant. King Habas broke with precedent, elevating Shmuel to be his primary counselor and the commanding general of the Spanish Muslim army. As this structural chart shows, this elevation established a new model of leadership. Shmuel was given the title of Nagid. Unlike the traditional head of the diaspora in Babylon, an office inherited through the royal bloodline of King David, the Nagid was a position earned through political and intellectual merit. By leveraging that merit, a displaced minority managed to embed a supreme legal and spiritual authority right inside a foreign empire, successfully pulling the intellectual weight of Babylon into the highest levels of the Spanish government. As the top general and advisor, Shmuel accumulated immense wealth and state influence. He immediately directed those resources toward preserving the Jewish legal tradition. He financed a massive logistical network that subsidized scholars and academies across the medieval world, extending his reach from the Iberian Peninsula all the way to Egypt and Babylon. To ensure that students in Jerusalem could study the law through the night, he established a continuous physical supply chain, shipping them massive quantities of olive oil every single year. Looking at this dense Hebrew text, you can see the result of intense manual labor. Before the printing press, Shmuel funded a dedicated operation of scribes to produce exact handwritten copies of the Mishnah and the Talmud, distributing them to any student who committed to study. By bankrolling the infrastructure of Torah study across multiple continents, Shmuel solidified Spain as the new capital of the Jewish world. Meanwhile, the situation in the East reached a breaking point. The Muslim authorities in Babylon turned on the remaining Jewish leadership, arresting and torturing Hizkiah, the final head of the diaspora. Fearing for their lives, Hizkiah's two royal sons fled the collapsing East. They traveled across the Mediterranean, eventually seeking asylum in Shmuel's powerful Andalusian court. The last political heirs of the ancient Babylonian academies were taken in and protected by the self-made leader of Spain. The old world had finally collapsed, but its legal and intellectual lineage was absorbed into the new, securing the continuity of the law for the centuries to come.